Now in this video I want to talk with you about coffee and how to not overdose it. Many of us drink 1, 2, 3, sometimes 5, sometimes 10 cups of coffee every single day. Now the question is, does that even make sense? And could it hurt us? Well, it has already been proven that actually coffee does not hurt your stomach. Not in any way. Actually, it saves it even more. But the problem with coffee is that your brain receives a certain level of caffeine. After that brain receives that amount of caffeine, the brain will think, this is the normal level of caffeine. Now when you do that again and again and again, so let's say you drink every single day 5 cups of coffee, your brain will think that these caffeine levels that are so high are normal. These are the ones that now the brain needs in order to be able to function. And that is a big problem. Because let's say your brain is always at that level, and someday you don't get your coffee. Well, what happens then? Your brain is down. It doesn't function properly anymore. And that is what, of course, I don't want to happen to you or your brain in any way. Now, what you need to understand is this. Drinking coffee is not bad for your brain. Not in any way. Actually, it can be very good because we all know that it gets us basically out of bed and makes us feel awake. So what is basically the right measure of caffeine that you should take every day? And which kind of products can you use in order to get the caffeine in your body? Now there are different kinds of approaches that we can take. What I want to do with you right now is first of all talk about coffee, then show you how much caffeine there is in every cup of coffee and also in certain stores that many people go to, for example Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, and just simply show you how bad it is to go to Starbucks or how bad it is to go to Dunkin' Donuts. First of all, the one thing that I want to say is we talk here about coffee that is actually not filled with sugar, because many people love to put a lot of sugar into their coffee, and that is a big problem because coffee itself is a great thing. But if you put a lot of sugar into it, you're destroying the effect that caffeine actually has, and you're basically destroying your body at the same time. You get fatter and you also take in a lot of carbohydrates, and those are the bad ones. So in the end, it doesn't bring you any benefit at all if you put a lot of sugar into your coffee. That's why, just again, hear my advice. Don't put a lot of sugar into your coffee. Rather drink it black without sugar. Put a little bit of milk into it if you like. Put a little bit of sweetener into it. But don't just overdose with sugar already. And the same thing also applies to people who drink a lot of coffee. That's even worse than if the people that are already overdosing with coffee then also overdose on sugar. That can be very problematic and should not be done. Now, in the end, if your brain is at a certain level of caffeine all the time, and at some day you will not receive the caffeine, and now you also will not receive the sugar, the brain will not be functioning the way that you want it to work. And also, it takes a lot of time to turn this process around and to actually get the brain back to a level that is normal for the brain. So actually that the brain can think properly without taking in any caffeine at all. So for example, I almost don't drink any coffee at all. Sometimes I have a little espresso at our school, but most of the time I don't drink any coffee, no espresso. I don't use too much caffeine. The only caffeine that I have is in basically my supplements that I use for the gym, but that is basically it. Now let us start talking about coffee. So caffeine helps many people to get up and going, and you probably know that. Many people jump out of bed and think, oh, what I now need is a coffee. That is the only thing that will get me to work or get me to school or get me to university or just get me somewhere. So when you drink a cup of coffee, that basically translates to taking in 70 to 140 grams of caffeine. Now what you should do is drink around 160 grams every day. That is the maximum that you as an average adult should drink. Of course, this varies for women and for men. Of course, women should take a little bit less because they have less body mass and also less muscles, and men have more muscles and often more body mass, and that's why they have to take in a little bit more caffeine in order to get it into the cells and to get it into the brain. Now, let's say the average for women is around 140, the average for men is around 160 to 180. So men just take a little bit more caffeine, but in the end, if you do not need that much and your brain already works before that, then you should definitely take less. There is no clear minimum, because for some people it is enough when they take 10 or 20 or 30 milligrams of caffeine. but also many people just cannot survive without at least, let's say, 80 or 90, so with at least 1 cup of coffee. So, for example, when you look at espresso has around 55 to 65 milligrams, even though, of course, it is much less a normal espresso than a cup of coffee, but it has a lot of caffeine. And then the instant coffee, that can vary quite much because the quality of many instant coffees is just simply not very good, and that's why it can vary from 30 to around 90 milligrams. And then we also got the decaf coffee that actually should not have any caffeine in it, but often they do have caffeine in it, not too much. They have around 0, the absolute maximum, to around 7 milligram, and actually some 7 milligram will not wake up too many people. I'm not sure whether there is an instant where actually 7 milligram will get that person out of bed. If that is the case, fantastic. But if not, then that's no problem as well. But 7 milligram is often the maximum for decaf coffee. So if you like the taste of coffee and want to drink a coffee, then do that. But in my mind, then I don't really see the point in not taking any caffeine, except you want to go to bed afterwards. But like almost no one drinks coffee in the evening in my mind, even though, of course, you might prove me wrong here. But in most cases, people drink it in the morning or drink it around noon or something like that. And that's when they need it. Now, if you like the taste of coffee, then get the decaf coffee and just simply reduce the amount of caffeine that is in every single cup. Now, the caffeine doses of brewed coffee at Starbucks is, for example, for a short one of these small cups, so 8 ounces, is 180 milligram. And I think that is just completely mind-blowing. I'm not sure how they put that much caffeine into it, but if you drink a Starbucks coffee, this will really, really wake you up. So 1 cup of Starbucks coffee is already enough for the entire day. At least, actually, it's enough for even 2 days, in my mind. But there are many people actually drink the big ones, so the tall ones, 12 ounces, and those are then 260 milligram. That is insane. That is like 3 to 4 days of actually drinking proper coffee, and that is then the maximum of 3 to 4 days. So I think that is ridiculous. So 260 gram is much too much. A short one is still okay, I think, but drinking a tall one every single day actually will get you to that level where the brain accepts that this is the normal amount of caffeine that is in the brain, and then in the end will actually slow down if you do not get that amount. Now, the grand one, the big one, actually has 330 milligram in each of those cups. Now, that is 16 ounces. That is a pretty huge coffee, but still, the amount of caffeine that is in there is ridiculous. I cannot believe how they put so much into it. So it's much too much. You should not drink that much. It's completely unhealthy. Don't do it. And then there's the big one, the 20 ounces one, and that one has 415 milligram. And this is killing yourself. Like, don't do this. It doesn't make any sense. This is really now the maximum for a man for at least 2 days, 2.5 days. So that's ridiculous. Don't do that. It doesn't help you at all. It will just get you distracted. Perhaps even you will get like your heartbeat is going to get faster. So in the end, that doesn't make any sense in my mind. Don't drink that much coffee every single day, especially not from Starbucks. Let's say now you drink 20 ounces of coffee from a normal coffee, then of course this will be much less. This will be like, let's say, around 200 or 180 or something like that. But to have something like this, to have in one coffee 450 milligram, which is in my mind much too much, that is just killing you. This is not good for your brain. But now it gets even more ridiculous because I want to show you basically the amount that Dunkin' Donuts coffee have. So the small one, 10 ounces, has 250 milligram. I cannot believe it. Much too much. Then we got the medium one, 16 ounces, 302 milligram. That is incredible and mind-blowing. That is much too much. Don't go to Dunkin' Donuts and don't drink the coffee there. And then we got the large one, and this one has 431 milligram of caffeine in every cup, so every 20-ounce cup. And that is, in my mind, just completely mind-blowing. And it is very similar to the one that we just had at Starbucks. But again, at Starbucks, we had 415, now we got 431, and those were now both 20 ounces, and now we got the extra large, which is 24 ounces, and this one has 570 milligram of caffeine. That is for like a big dude. For a big dude, this is the maximum for 3 days, and some people drink that every single day. It just completely blows my mind. Don't do that. Just my personal advice. If you like the coffee and you think you need that much, go for it. But I think it is just not healthy. And also, medical research has shown that this is just simply not healthy and should not be done at any day, at any time. So, in my mind, and actually, what the research again has shown is that 2 to 4 cups of a normal coffee a day is like the amount that you should drink, or that should be the maximum of what you should drink. In my mind, 2 cups is completely enough. If you're a very big dude, let's say you're a 300-pound dude, then of course you might want to drink 4 or something like that. But for women, for smaller girls, or for smaller guys, for not the big guys, 2 cups is definitely enough. 3 if you're, let's say, I don't know, 250 pounds or something like that. For example, I'm 260 pounds, and I do a lot of exercise, and that's why I sometimes drink, well, 2 cups. That's for me the maximum. But other dudes who are like 260 pounds as well, they drink like 3 to 4, and that should be then enough. But again, 2 cups of coffee is definitely enough. Don't tell yourself that you need more, because often you just simply don't. It's just simply a lie, and you don't need that much. So if you don't enjoy, for example, drinking coffee or the kind of DK coffee or something like that, try out drinking green tea. Green tea actually has also a lot of caffeine. If I'm not mistaken, it has like a fourth of what coffee has, but I will check the numbers again. We'll make a video about that. I don't want to tell you anything wrong here, but actually green tea, of course, has much less caffeine than the coffee, but most people don't put as much sugar in their green tea than in the coffee, so in the end, it could be healthier for you, and that's why you should drink it more often and perhaps should even replace coffee